Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Okay, so in the process of trying to um, create transformation, change, and healing for us and for the rest of the world, we have to find our voice and our identity. And that voice and that identity has to be cultivated with the process of doing the torsion field of the Guardian Alliance of Light. And adding to it the idea and the concept of the beyond time and space. As I had expressed before, by doing this with our hands and the voice being the decree and the command through which we're going to trigger this act of creation, while the hand gesture is a mudra to release into external from us in a geographical area, the peace, the serenity that is internal to us. What I want to do today, I want to approach this from a different place. You're all aware of this, but I want to approach this from a different place. I want to talk about the role that the guardians are playing. Okay? Who are they? They are a collective of light beings who have achieved, who have committed themselves, and they are of all species: human, aquatic, bird people, uh, uh, um, spider races, energetic beings, angelic beings of all kinds that have achieved or committed themselves to connecting to neutrality as being the core vibration through which that they will exist. Okay? And they exist in all dimensions of time and space. And the way they are teaching us to do the torsion field is for us to call the first guardian counter-rotating torsion field coming from the core of the earth, moving through the bottom of our feet, passing through our core, our antakarana, exiting at the top of our head. And while it exits, it creates all around us a counter-rotating torsion field of neutrality, of everything that's neutral in the first one, in the fourth dimension. Now, I want you to understand what I am saying. Neutrality in 3D is our responsibility. And we have to learn, and again, when the Guardian first discovered the Guardian, they just showed up to me. When they talked about neutrality, I thought that if I just declare myself neutral, that was enough. I would declare myself neutral. I'm neutral. But it's not enough. Because there are nuances and there are all kinds of things that are connected to neutrality. There are parts of me, internal to me, that are fractured, that are battling other part of me, internal to myself. I am in conflict internally in all kinds of ways, and I'm not neutral. And I have to somehow find a way to learn and exist to the best of my ability in neutrality in 3D, because I am the grounding point through which their energy, although they're acting like benefactors. Pay attention to that word. They're acting like benefactors to gift us in the, we're in 3D, they start in 4D, 5D, 6D, all the way to the 15th dimension. Now, they start, when they're starting in that dimension, they exist. A group of them come in and they create around us, counter-rotating, starting from the bottom of our feet, moving through our physical body in 3D, and creating a torsion field of neutrality as it exists, as they understand it, as an act of love, compassion, and mercy toward us. Therefore, they are our benefactor. It's a gift. It's a gift of profound elevation and understanding. And what happens is that if we focus first on the first torsion field, for example, over time of you doing this, let's say you're doing this 3 times a day, what happens is that your body in 3D, as you keep doing the practice, will begin to change. Your understanding of what neutrality is in 3D will begin to expand. You will begin to notice at moment, wait a minute, when I acted in this manner about what somebody said to me in 3D, my actual action and reaction to things that are happening in my life, that behavior is not neutral. That reaction is not neutral. Therefore, I'm not in neutrality. But this will happen over time. It is not something that pops out of the box complete. Therefore, it's a cultivation. It's something that takes time. It's like planting a seed, okay? And putting water and nutrient and fertilizing it so that it will begin to grow and burgeon, or prepping it ahead of time in a little a cup to get it ready, and then you plant it in the ground, and you give it sun, and you take out the weed, all the things that we do to cultivate anything that we're cultivating. So it's a similar things that we're doing, except this time the focus is about existing in neutrality. How do we, because when the Guardian came in 2008 and I started, I thought I knew what neutrality was. I really did. I'm declaring myself neutral. I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. It was initially just, I meant what I said, that I wanted to be neutrality, but I didn't understand the ramification, how my life was going to change, how my perception was going to expand, how so many parts of my life or places where I was battling, I was going to stop battling, and I'm going to realize, wait a minute, I can behave this way. That comment I just made, that thought I had about this person, because I'm judging them, I'm not being neutral. I'm being highly judgmental. And I need to give them space and room to evolve and to grow. Because if I'm a being that's neutral, the same way God was able to reach me and bring me into that peace, that serenity that neutrality gives me, God is capable of reaching them too. And I have to stop trying to judge everybody and be God's assistant and think that what I think, or where I think everybody should be, they should be there right now because I know better. This is not me being neutral. This is me being highly, highly judgmental and projecting the syndrome of being God's assistant on everyone else. So it takes a minute, and there are 2 things. On the one hand, I have to make an effort in 3D to catch these things. What's his name? Don Miguel Ruiz talks about this, and he says you have to stalk yourself like you stalk a prey if you are hunting it. You have to keep stalking yourself to catch the moment where you're out of neutrality internally, inside of yourself. Okay? And when you do this, you catch the little thing. And you're going to catch them after the fact, initially. You're going to behave the way you normally behave. All of a sudden, you're going to say, wait a minute, what I just did here was somebody that's in conflict. There's a part of me that's afraid of this or that. Sometimes the archetypes that are inside of you, for example, the inner child and let's say the ruler might be battling with each other internally. You have all kinds of internal conflicts. And the more broken yet you are, the more trauma you have, the more likely that these various parts are not in harmony with each other. They are not neutral. One of them is trying to gain dominance, or multiple of them are trying to gain dominance and control. And it's this process of you trying to bring them together, the entire menagerie, and have a conversation and have them calm down and say, we got to work together. All the voices that are inside of me are important. I'm going to have to find we're going to have to find a way to allow some of you to come up present when I need you. If I need defense, I need the warrior to show up. If I need wisdom, I need the wise one to show up. If I need vulnerability and love, I need my inner child to show up. If I need, so it's a question of allowing these various parts the space to come in to create harmony and to create internal peace. And this is the only way that not only am I going to be internally neutral, but that my voice, because I had shared with you the last time, because you could be focusing and meditating a lot on the torsion field, and not every torsion field you're saying be gone time and space, and you're meditating on what that means to you, what frequency and vibration it brings to you in silence. But if you have 1,000 voices inside your psyche, because you're so fragmented, that are all saying different things, you could repeat begone time and space from now until, kingdom come. You will not be able to manifest it and project it outside. It has to be unified, and these voices has to become one. So the idea that you have a responsibility. It's not just the benefactors' energies alone that will project you into neutrality, but you too have to cultivate neutrality in your speech, your words, your action, your inaction, and your internal conversation that you're having with yourself. Because if you're judging yourself, if you're accusing yourself, and that accuser is one of the archetypes, it's constantly, it's similar to the dweller on the threshold. That's the same voice, always accusing you and telling you you're not good enough, you're not doing well enough. And if that accuser is always there, and you're not making peace with all of these things and saying, no, you need to, and this is where the Dentien and all of the internal processes that I've taken you through can actually begin to help you heal, truly heal. Okay? When people around you are doing things, and we may think we have the answers, and again, people, and we think that they're hurting themselves, and we have solutions set, and we can create an entire bullet point things on things they should be doing in order for them to move from where they are in distress into something else. You're not God's assistant. It's none of your business. First of all, and if you offered it to somebody and they tell you no, no is a complete sentence, drop it and walk away. I had a friend of mine very recently who was having a problem. Actually, he asked for my help, and I explained to him how I see. He wrote something, how I see it, blah, blah. No, I don't want to do this. I said, okay, let's drop it. Let's drop it. Let's drop it. I didn't say anything. I'm done. And he called me back an hour and a half later. Well, I think I should do it. I said, I don't want you to do it because you think I'm right. I want you to understand something. You're a sovereign being, and I respect your will and volition and your karma. So if you really in your core feel you should not do it, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to influence you. But you had asked me for an opinion. I gave you my opinion. You disagree. You don't want to do it. Don't do it. Trust me, I will live. Okay? I'm already busy thinking about something else. I will live. I'm not God's assistant. It's not for me to create a change in your life. In your own timing, you will do this. And again, it's because, and I'm at that point now because I did so much work in 2008 on myself to realize the same way I expect other people when I tell them no to walk away from me and not bring the topic again. I have to give the same courtesy and respect to other people. So that when somebody says no to me, the no is complete. Don't explain it to me. Don't tell me why you're saying no. I'm done. I'm done. You said no. That's all you need to say. I'm finished. I'm not bringing it up. And so and again, this is part of the internal reconciliation I've done with myself, that my word and my action have to match, and that what I say internally to myself and to others have to match as well. The same way I expect you to give me that kind of respect, I have to provide it for you. All right? So when the guardian comes in, the first one, the guardian, so I'm having an internal conversation with myself all the time, checking myself constantly, stalking myself. Am I neutral in my behavior? Is my intention, although I have a good heart and I want the whole world to be happy, but am I trying to interfere with other people's karma and trying to solve their problem from me projecting? And I have to say this to you, and I'm sorry to be so direct, but the idea of you thinking that you know what the world needs and that you're going to provide it and everybody should follow your advice because it's coming from God and deep wisdom, that idea is the same concept, the same thing that the white colonizers that came, the European colonizer, did to all native people. They came in their culture telling them that they are savages and they are living in the worst condition, and then they're going to take them to the first world by creating all these changes without asking for their consent and agreement. It's a typical behavior of a colonizer to think that you know better, and you're going to project that wisdom into somebody that's lesser than you because you're going to be the great rescuer. You're going to convert them to Christianity. You're going to do this. This is very, it's coming from the same space. Because I'm spiritually more enlightened than you, I'm going to provide you. I posted something on Facebook and on LinkedIn very recently about sense of a mission and sense of commission. There's so much that I see and know that I'm not saying. This is what I'm saying. I was sharing with you that in order for you to get to your voice, you have to remain silent. I see and understand so much in meditation, particularly, and I was talking about in this instance about consciousness and AI and artificial intelligence. And there's so much that I see and I understand, but I have to allow humanity the space and the room for it to grow. Because consciousness is a quantum and transcendental state. You cannot compare it to machine learning. It's not the same thing. It's impossible to be the same thing. And to claim that that the AI is sentient and it's conscious, it's bollock. It's complete bollock. It's not true. And I can't, and I went into some detail, but even then I limited what I was saying because I got 2 comments on mass media. Everybody else was completely silent because it's too confrontational. This is what I mean, is that when you have certain kind of deep insight, I have to be very careful and measured when I say it and how I say it, particularly the when. Because when you bring, we have an old proverb back in the Caribbean, it's kind of like old wife's proverb. He who says, here is the snake, kills the snake. He who points out the problem becomes the problem. So there are certain things I have to be very careful how I say it, because I don't want to battle the war. Again, I'm trying to be neutral. I have an insight, but I don't need to share it with the rest of the world just because I have it. There is a kind of like verbal diarrhea that light workers have. I perceive, and then they're all running after everybody. Around you, there is in your aura, and then it's none of your business. Did I ask you? This is why sometimes when I go to these gatherings where these expos, well, I have to put people in check. I didn't ask you to do a reading for me. Get away from me. I didn't ask you. Whatever you see, keep it to yourself unless the person is in agreement, can give you consent, and it's an agreement with you. So when you cultivate that kind of stuff, it brings you to a place where the cultivation of the silence, because the real power is in the cultivation of the silence. To be able to hold your peace and to utter words that have meaning, that have true meaning, and that comes when there is consent. Because what are we doing with the beyond time and space? It's the power to create. It's the innate power that exists in God, which is to create. Because what do? We first banish time and space. And after the banishment, we project an exception into a geographical area. And that exception, inside of it, once the guardian comes in to support the exception, how big and how wide the volume is in neutrality, then you share with it the internal peace that you have. The desire not to interfere with other people's will and volition. The idea of being so neutral and so loving that you respect other people's choices. You entrain them into an understanding of the peace and the rest of God that allows you to share it, okay? When there is agreement and consent. And it's a very powerful thing, because it suddenly begins to create an environment in which people will begin to like the same thing that the first guardian does when they create their torsion field around you, because their understanding of neutrality is so advanced from you being in 3D that when they create the first torsion field around you and you sit in it, they are the understanding and the higher understanding that they have. They're trying to remind you of the energetics of it. Not, okay, they're entraining you into the feeling and the energetic of it. And the knowledge and the wisdom of it will follow in time, once you've cultivated it long enough. But the first thing that happens is the emotion and the feeling, what it feels like, and then the actual energetic of it. In other words, they magnetize you into it. Remember, we talked about the magnetiseur versus someone being a hypnotist. They magnetize you into it. And slowly over time, your cerebral, the frontal lobe, your cerebral cortex will follow and will begin to understand. That's the insight, that's the wisdom, that's what it means. What happened when the second guardian comes in? An even higher understanding. Now they come from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of your head, passing through your core, going into the core of the earth, and they bring in, as an act of benevolence, kindness. Remember, every guardian that comes in is a benefactor. It's a gift. And they're giving it to you because you're asking, because you made an agreement first. How does it begin? The extraterrestrial guardian alliance of light come around you, are offering to give you their shields of light and protection. If you're ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. There has to be agreement. They will not create it unless there's agreement. If you say no, no is a complete sentence, it will not be created. You have to have consent. That part is key. And the moment you say yes, you're in agreement, then this begins to create it. The second guardian comes in. There is even a higher understanding in the 5D of what neutrality is, an even more refined, more extended version of what neutrality. And then in the 60 and the 70 and the 80, even higher until you get to the 15D to complete the entire process of you in 3D all the way back into the throne room of God. Every one of the collective of the guardian that are coming in are benefactors. They're coming in with gifts of benevolence and blessings. And the blessings are what it is to be neutral. And they're sharing with you the energetics and the magnetic resonance of the neutrality that will, over time, change and become a growth spur, an emotional growth spur, a healing thing from you in 3D. And then you will begin to shift from existing just in 3D and cohabitating 4D, 5D, 6D, expanding into all these dimensions, higher and higher, as your understanding of neutrality in those higher realms become more grounded in you and more anchored. You will begin to know and understand what it means. And through that, you will be able to, the cultivation will become so clear. So that when you're ready, after months of doing daily 2 to 3 times a day this practice, you're going to get to a point where when you say begone time and space, the banishment will occur. The banishment will actually occur. And it will occur because your hands, when you're doing the mudra, because the open and close, the open and close 3 times, it's a release of your banishment and release of the entire 3D environment where you're looking at and your hand is directed toward. And as a mudra, this hand, this finger is fire, this one is air, that one is space, this one is water, this one is earth. All the 5 elements. And when you say begone time and space, you're literally banishing all of it out. Now, we talked about this before in other contexts. We have spoken about the fact that when you do when the guardian gifts you their gifts of neutrality, and the torsion field is created in your home at your particular chair or location or seat or garden or park, wherever you go to do the practice, you are sitting ex cathedra. Once the torsion field are created, you and divinity are one. The same concept in the church and the early mystics of having holy places being created where there are vortices or channel through which all the higher dimensions are connected. But these channels are not just created happen in nature or by themselves. They are created by ancient mystics and beings doing this kind of practice at the same location, and therefore changing the location frequency wise, magnetically wise, spiritually wise, emotionally wise, changing the entire location and making it a doorway, a path through which all the higher dimensions and all the higher dimensional beings that exist in neutrality are gathered in one gigantic column. one ascending and descending column. And that ascending and descending column is your antakarana, and it's also the staff of Melchizedek that you're going to project when you say beyond time and space and you project your hand. It's going to shift from you because it exists in you. It's going to shift from you when you say beyond time and space. And when I say space, the space is a little bit longer. Space. And I release my hand and it shifts and it goes into that geographical location. I can feel energetically where it goes, because the same sensation I have when the column is created inside of me, I have the same sensation. But this time my eyes are open and I'm looking at the space and it moves. In other words, I am now entangled with the space. My antakarana shifted out and I am now entangled with the space. And as this entanglement exists, now my hands are extended out, and then I'm now witnessing. I'm holding it, and I'm witnessing the guardian confirming that the exception is being created by seeing the first guardian coming in from the core of the earth, the core of the earth, counter-rotating, and I take a breath, and I exhale, and then second breath, second guardian, third breath, third guardian, etc. And the guardian come in and they reconfirm that they are the same thing that exists in me. They are not creating it outside. They are creating it outside. And by the time all of it is done, it is so potent that people who are around you will notice. Individuals, you will notice it too. When the projection is really happening, particularly when you are living in such truth to yourself. This is the thing with finding your voice. You have to be in your truth. You have to stop gathering. If you're scrolling on your phone all the time, or you're on the computer, or you're constantly trying to rescue this person or that person, you're scattered everywhere all the time. You're not in your stillness. You're not in your heart. You're busy externally. You're being stimulated externally, but you're not in your heart. Your voice is not with you. But when you remain in meditation and you're doing this practice and you stay within yourself, what happens is that over time, the power of your words becomes more potent and more powerful. And it's not just beyond time and space. It could be something simple as saying, enough, like somebody's doing something. Just the word that comes out of you comes with power. And you will notice, if you're doing this practice when you're remaining still with yourself and you're focusing on the neutrality, let's say for the next month, you were to simply focus on the neutrality as I'm describing it now, inside of yourself, as it relates to your internal relationship and what's your relationship to it when you communicate with people or not communicating. Am I neutral? Am I not neutral? Am I not, and then let the guardian then entrain you into higher version of neutrality by the energetic and magnetic influence. If you do this for 1 month, I can guarantee you that when you speak your words and you remain in your silence and you don't speak dumb things, unnecessary things, okay? You don't fill up the space with words just because silence is awkward. And if you can do this, what happens? When you actually speak, the word that you say will cause the entire environment around you to rearrange itself, because God and all the forces of nature will listen to you, because you cultivated in silence your voice and your power. It's not just a beyond time and space. There are times where you would utter something. And this is why you have to, it's a tremendous power. And with great power comes great responsibility. I'm saying this to you because I want you to pay attention to it. Because at the moment, I share with you when I was much younger, 19, 20 years old, when I was part of the mystery school and all that, and people were doing in the mystery school what kind of shenanigan, and I would get up and at the time I didn't understand it was me doing it. I thought I was delusional in my head and in my righteous anger because they were doing many things that were not right, and I would get up and judge them and say things at business meeting and you know, and as I would saying these things, I sense like the room, like vibration coming from me, like magnetic vibration, like things started to shake. The walls would begin to like the floor would, and I thought in my head, I'm so angry that I am delusional. I think the wall was shaking. Until a few friends that were part of the preview to those meetings, a few months later, because the business meeting were once a month. A few months later, a few of my friends said, "Oh yeah," and then mentioned in passing, and Pierre, and when he's angry, that atmosphere thing that he does, where everything starts shaking. That's when I realized it wasn't my delusion. So there are times you're going to do the torsion field, you're going to do the meditation when you're so connected. You're going to sense for a moment, it feels to you like the floor is tilting. Trust me on that, the floor is actually tilting because you're altering time and space without knowing that you're altering time and space. And this is because if you think about it for a second, if where you're sitting ex cathedra, okay, you are connecting from 3D into the throne room of God. Do you think that location is going to be normal? And you're doing this 2 to 3 times a day? It's not going to be normal. Every time somebody tries to go sit in that seat, they too are going to go right into the entire vortex that you have created. And that vortex will remain at perpetuity for future generation as well. It will remain. So I want you to be aware that there is tremendous power in the cultivation of this. And that power needs to be used with love and with a heart. Because otherwise your righteous anger and your judgment can curse a location instead of bless it. And that's the last thing I or you want to do. Because the whole point of ascending is to harm no one. If anything else, we're here to do a collective rescue. That's the reason for all of the social intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, the emotional intelligence work, because unless you have reconciled all the and this is the reason for the reconciliation work, because unless you have worked on your neutrality and your reconciliation internally, and you're angry about this and you're uncontrollable and you're blowing off your top because of this, that, or the other, there are certain things we can control, there are certain things we can help other people with, there are other things that it's their karma. It's none of my business. The same way God was able to get to me and give me the insight. People, like what's happening with AI, the relationship AI is having, people, we have a generation that's going to be so dumbed down by the improper use of AI right now and the deployment of it. An entire generation will be lost, and that will, okay, here's the deeper truth about AI that I mentioned in the small piece that I wrote recently to put on mass media on Facebook. In the Bible, when Moses was in Mount Sinai getting the 10 Commandment, the Israelite were below, so lost without him. They were so dependent on him, although he was there only for 40 days and 40 nights. They were so lost without him that they created a golden calf, and that the golden calf they were worshiping. Now, the Kabbalah said very clearly that the golden calf was not a lifeless statue. It was a dark spiritual / demonic technology that anybody that worshipped it can ask it a question and it would answer back. Does that look like anything that's happening in the world right now? This is what AI is doing. AI is the golden calf of this age. And what happened when Moses returned? He was so upset when he descended down the mountain. He was so elevated in spiritual light, and because he connected to God's light directly, that they were telling him look at the golden calf. He didn't get it initially. He was like, what? And when he realized what happened, what did he do? He broke down the tablet and threw it against the golden calf, and God smited all of it. Why? Because what he had brought to the Israelite was not commandment. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not. It was not commandment. It was the secret. It was the secret to becoming divine. But the people were not ready because they were stuck in idolatry and in a false path, worshiping a false god. And he had to go a second time in Mount Sinai to get the tablet that we got now with the shall not, thou shalt not. A lesser version, a dumber version for people who are too thick and too dumb to understand the refined stuff they originally bought. We are at a crossroad of similar things happening in the world right now. Now I have that insight, but I'm telling you, I shared it. I have 3 likes. It's been a week. 3 likes. 2 comments. Everybody else is staying clear of it because there are times when you say something, although it is the truth, no one wants to hear it because they are too addicted to what they are doing right now. And it's not their time yet to learn, because God in its own timing will teach them what God needs to teach them. I know this, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the comment. But I'm mentioning it nonetheless. I let people, maybe, again, if it reaches 3 people, that's it's better than 0 people understanding this. So there are times where you get something and you get an insight where if you try to share it, people are going to judge you and think that you're cuckoo and you're crazy. Like a lot of the channeling that I did since 2014, 2015 about what's happening in the world right now, people ridiculed me and told me that I was fear-mongering, and I was like, but look what's happening around us right now. 60% of the predictions have happened. So I'm asking myself, you see, there is a great, people don't understand this, there is a burden that exists when you see. To see something doesn't mean that automatically people around the world needs to be at your level and get it. because this is not the way growth happens. Growth is an individual process. I know there's a lot of people in the light community that believes otherwise, that think that somehow because frequencies are higher, energies are higher, and somehow without them doing any effort, they're going to find themselves into the new earth because they have declared themselves to be light workers. But they're doing nothing internally, or very little. I shouldn't say nothing, that's judgmental, but they're doing very little internally to move energetically, to acclimate themselves to the higher frequencies. Although they have all kinds of ascension symptoms, meaning they are feeling uncomfortable, they have headache, they have all kinds of these confrontation, emotional stuff are coming, things from their past, but they are not reconciling. They are not trying to be neutral. They are still remaining for the most part the way they are. And they think somehow they're going to end up in New York. This is not the way it works. What is it that God said? Walk toward me and I'll take 1,000 steps toward you. So where is the effort in our part to move toward God? And the effort is individual. Bottom line, I cannot grow for any of you. I've said this so many times. My love for you cannot bring you into the new earth or where I'm going. I would love for all of you to be on my bus. And that's why I'm teaching. That's why I'm making all this effort. Because I want all of you to be with me. But the responsibility ultimately falls upon you. You're going to have to make the effort. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to acclimate yourself, to see, to understand, to allow yourself to get to the next phase. I can only energetically guide you and give you guidance for this and give you spiritual practices as I'm, Lord Melchizedek is giving me the understanding. Practice the control of your voice. Don't waste your word and things that are unnecessary. Sit quiet and stay in peace once the torsion field is created. Sit for a moment and let the energetic of it uh, shift you internally and begin to give you more insight about how rich and how incredibly nuanced and how incredibly profound neutrality really is, and how healing it really is. And the moment you get it and you begin to exist in that space, when you say beyond time and space and you project it, the entanglement will happen because energetically you have the qualia, you have the understanding, the emotional and the energetic understanding of what it is. The moment you get it, that's what you project. It's no longer an abstraction. It's a knowing. Any questions and comments?
Yeah, I do have a question, I guess a comment maybe. Uh, What is neutrality? You said earlier in the class, and that got me to thinking. Personally, I'm growing. I guess I would say, hopefully, always growing in reaching a place that I think me is neutral. In other words, there are always layers that I'm addressing, right? Self-sabotaging thoughts or uh, improper thoughts towards self, inaccurate. not so much outward directed, but inward directed. And before we can begin the torsion field, we have to be neutral, as I recall you saying,
Mhm.
in 3D. So it must be by the grace of God that we are allowed to continue to build, or ask the guardians to build this torsion field around a 3D center that is not truly neutral, even though we think we are at that moment. I'm profoundly grateful if that's the case. Otherwise, we are, or I am, fooling myself.
Okay, Janice, it's a beautiful question. What I can share with you is that the two things are not necessarily incongruent with each other. Meaning, while you're still learning how to be, you see, what God is looking at is the intention. What is the intention in your heart? You really want to be neutral and you mean to be neutral. And because of the intention and it's pure, this is what God needs. That
Mm.
little kernel, the mustard seed, that's all that God needs. Okay? And because of this, when the guardian comes in and to offer their benevolence and their kindness, then upon that little seed that you have, neutrality is built. And what happened? Because you intend to learn, the guardian, the fourth one, the first one, the second, the third, etc., together will begin to energetically entrain you to evolve neutrality in 3D.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not because when I started, I didn't have any knowledge of what neutrality actually meant. And in fact, the definition and the space I'm in now is nowhere in the Webster dictionary as to what neutrality is. It's not being Switzerland. It's something utterly completely different. It's accelerated conflict resolution, and it's healing in understanding the sovereignty of others and the interdependence upon which we exist as a species with everything else that exists in the entire universe. It's so much more complex, and it took me years since 2008 of practicing this over and over again. There are times where the understanding goes high, there are moments it ebbed down, and again the sine wave, right? And so if the intention in your heart is for you to be as neutral as you can to the best of your ability, then the education, the growth that is needed over time will happen by the help of the Guardian Alliance of Light, who are the benefactors and the teachers and the instructors to entrain you into neutrality.
Well, then I'm even more grateful that, uh, in spite of imperfections, I am shown perfection.
Yes, and there's a couple of things that are happening right now that I should mention as well. Although I'm not an astrologer by any means, I know that Mercury is going retrograde on the 29th, which is tomorrow. And typically, Mercury retrograde is challenging for communication, things from the past, and etc. For many reasons. For many of you, you're very sensitive to it. I just want to point out there are multiple other beneficial things that are happening right after. June 30th, Jupiter is going direct on Leo, and Jupiter is an expander of energy. It brings blessings everywhere. And where Saturn and Neptune are placed, and Mars as well, it's ending karma. So cycles of karma that you were struggling with and that you were actively working on and that seemed You know how these things seem to perpetually have another string. You think you were done with it, and you keep pulling, and it's like a magician with a scarf. You keep having more. It's gonna end karma, and it will bring abundance. It will bring blessings. It will bring major shift. And Jupiter in Leo will remain until next year, July 26, 2027. So it's over a year. So this retrograde is going to be a bit different. Initially, you might still have some of the glitches that are going on, etc. But all of you are working so hard on yourself internally. You're shifting so much. Now, other people on the planet who are not doing the hard work that you're doing may have a different experience. But for all of you, I'm sharing this with you because I want you to pay attention. Because I'm always trying to warn you of, be careful because of this. I want to warn you also and let you know of the good things that are coming. This is big. This is really big because for 12 years, Jupiter was out of Leo. And coming into that, and depending on where it is in your chart, of course, but generally speaking, for the whole planet, it's a major shift into blessings, expansion, growth, abundance, flow, ease.
A timely gift.
Yes, yes, and the end of karma, the end of years of like whatever struggle you are going through, the things finally ending and concluding and moving into a different territory. It's like turning the page in the book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing grace.
Amazing Grace is right. Amazing Grace is right. That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to still continue to have the solar flares and whatever activity, normal stuff, right? But overall, you will begin to realize that things are, this is midweek. The 30th is Tuesday. So, literally in 2 days, things will begin to shift. And you may have noticed it already in your life where there is a sense of ease and things beginning to move already because these things have pre shadows. Now, Mercury is a very mental thing because you keep doubting yourself. You can't decide. You're always like back and forth. But that will also shift because these other planetary alignment will begin to also alter how that lands. Now, in the expression of our voice, as I said, I think the first time that this is going to happen for you will not be necessarily during a practice that you're doing. It may be, I don't know, but I think it's going to happen because there is a crisis around you and you feel the need to intercede for someone. And at that moment, let me just tell you, you don't need to even do the torsion field before you do it. Because if there's a need and there's an emergency, the same way I was sharing with you that my student Marie-Lisette was able to speak to the tornado that was coming toward her. She didn't have it. She was sleeping when the alarm started of the tornado. And she realized there was enough time that she could see the twister out of the window. And she said, as I said, and again, these things happen when you're not trying to do it for yourself. What motivated her to talk to the storm through the window was the fact that she had to help evacuate people in the senior center she was living in, people who were more disabled than her, and take her to the basement. She said there was not enough time. I couldn't help all of them. And she said, I turned toward the window, and she knows how to blend with the storm because we've done multiple hurricane blending before. She went and spoke from her heart, and went and faced the storm to the window and said, "You cannot come here." That kind of like pea soup green dark thing that's coming toward. She said, "You cannot come here. There's so many of us on this floor. There's not enough time for me to take us to the basement. You have to turn around. You cannot come here." And it came from a desire, not for herself, but for others. I want to point that out to you because this is the way the gift is triggered. It's when you're serving somebody else and it came straight from your heart. Everything that I'm saying that may seem abstract and complicated because it sounds too good, too grandiose, you would have to be so perfect to do it. The moment you're on your heart like this, it triggered. It wasn't me that did it. She did it. She was retired and as a teacher, and she was able to do it. And what happened? The twister just literally 45 degrees moved. It was coming straight at her. Move. Jumped over, move. When you're in your heart and it's coming from a place where you're trying to serve others, because she was not thinking about herself. She had enough time for herself to run down to the basement. But she said, but I cannot leave my neighbors. There are 3 or 4 people on my floor that I need to help. And I don't have enough time to take them to safety. In a similar manner, this whole process that I'm explaining to you will trigger for you when you have the need to intercede for others. You will know exactly how to do it. And at that moment when you're in that kind of emergency, she didn't have a time to do the torsion field. She didn't need to. Now, she was practicing the torsion field out of the time, but at that moment, instead of her saying, let me do a 12 breath, there was no time. But the purity of her intention was there. The desire to serve was there. And that's all that God's need, the mustard seed. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and do the closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. And the extraterrestrial guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian begin in the core of the earth, counter-rotating, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going to the top of the fourth-dimensional body, and create all around me rotation field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian, dropping in from source, rotating clockwise, moving to the top of the fifth dimensional body, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the sixth dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian, coming in from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the seventh dimensional body, moving through the top of my head, passing through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me the torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head and going into the top of the 8th dimensional chakra system while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts down the energy of the 6th guardian, coming in from souls, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the 9th dimensional body, moving down into the top of my head, descending into my core, dropping into the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts down the energy of the 7th guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, rotating counterclockwise, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 10th dimensional body while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 8th guardian, coming in from souls, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the 11th dimensional chakra system, descending into the top of my head, passing through my core, moving into the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends, and it attracts now the energy of the ninth guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 12-dimensional body, while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 10th guardian, dropping from source while rotating clockwise into the top of the 13th dimensional chakra system, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Beyond time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends. And it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian, counter-rotating, rising from the core of the earth, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 14-dimensional chakra system, while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 12th guardian, coming in from source while rotating clockwise. Dropping into the top of the 15-dimensional chakra system, descending into the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth. While creating all around me. A total field of neutrality. Beyond time and space. I am at rest in the stillness. Bring me into an expanded understanding and knowing of neutrality. May the peace, the neutrality, and the serenity that I know. Pass on to everyone in my circle of influence. Peace to the world. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you.
You're welcome, Janice. You're welcome. I want to thank all of you for listening to me tonight. Please subscribe. Thank you for your patronage on Patreon. Deep love to everyone. Next week we're going to be off because of the 4th of July celebration. Remember this. Blessings, everyone. Enjoy. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.
Right.